I believe in you all.
Surprise Synopses.
Surprise Synopses.
I quit. I fucking hate you guys.
What?
Oh. Is this the end for Surprise Synopses?
So you're quitting? Is it something Damien said?
Yeah. It would have been, if it was anything that happened, it would have been Damien, for sure.
Rude.
Because, like, you came back after Moon Man, so I assumed you were here forever.
Nah, soz guys. I've got my life, and it's a moving, and I am moving physically away to a distance slightly further than what I'm currently traveling. I'm extending it by about 10 hours.
So we could record about as often as we do now, is what you're saying.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, yeah.
Just get an envelope and do your pitch into the envelope and seal it up,
Whisper
put a
in.
stamp on it and send it. We'll open it near the microphone and it'll just come straight out.
Fuck you, Harley. It's like,
I don't know much about sound recording, but I have a hunch that that's going to work out.
No, but I think we know enough about howlers.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, is that a...
That's of Harry Potter.
Oh, man.
Damien thought he invented yelling envelopes. He was wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, so sorry to disappoint everyone, but this podcast is about to get real stale and not very funny.
Rude.
Alex, you're not leaving us for another podcast, are you?
Well, I mean, like, if someone wants me and they're like, damn, she was really good, like, and you happen to be where I am going, then yes, fuck you guys. I will do another podcast.
Oh,
Jeez.
wow.
If they're offering monetary value. Probably, even at this point.
We're going through a podcast breakup. It was not mutual.
Yeah.
Luckily, I live near a supermarket, so I can just go buy all the vanilla ice cream and sad candles.
I know. So I guess this is this makes this the final episode of season Uno Menuno.
End of season 1, cliffhanger.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, but we've
Does
got...
Alex go to a different podcast?
And how will our heroes react? Will they get a new Alex?
Oh, wait, we can't spool the outro yet because we do our pitch first.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Oh, yeah, we should do the episode, shouldn't we?
Yeah. We need to do the bit.
But first, I have a surprise.
Oh, God, it gets more surprises.
Yes.
Oh, man, now I'm the only one that didn't bring a surprise. I have to think of one real quick.
Well, you did bring a that thing, the red eye thing that I thought
I brought
was
a
beer.
drink.
Yeah.
I feel like
And
it doesn't...
didn't share.
Yeah. Didn't share. It's 600 mil.
Yeah, it's like 200 mil each.
Wow. That's...
Welcome to communism.
Let's get your own drinks.
You're a very unsociable socialist, Damien.
Nah, because I'm sick. Didn't want to get you guys sick.
Oh, thanks. So thoughtful.
I'm coughing on all this altruism. And desperately stalling while I find the thing in my Dropbox that I put there.
Yeah, I would have thought
This is why I'm quitting.
What,
Unprofessionalism.
Rampant unprofessionalism. Not because I'm going to edit out all of this.
You won't.
Okay.
Yeah, you won't edit anything.
So,
But I've got some listener feedback, by the way. Someone was listening to our episodes like out of order, just in a jumble, and I was like, "Oh, are you liking them?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I came across one where I think you guys were really drunk because the episode just like someone said, "Oh, food's here," and then, halfway through the episode, and then the podcast just continued on with like a small break, like he didn't edit out someone saying food's here." I'm like, So we got rumbled on that.
that's fair. I left that in because...
Lazy.
for posterity.
Well, no, A, I thought it was funnier. And B, I could have made that gap seamless, but it was going to be really annoying because the intro and outro phrases didn't line up neatly. And I just didn't want to send it there so yeah, laziness.
Yeah,
I could have done it, but it would have been
Because
40 minutes.
those are the only ones I haven't listened to. I didn't listen to the drunk ones. I don't
I
want to
listened
know.
to one of the earlier ones. I didn't listen to the
I listened to them all.
I listened to them all except the drunk set.
It was decent. It was decent. There was some good stuff.
Yeah, the second one I think I listened to. I really like that one.
So I have a surprise that's going to be a surprise for both of you, and it's going to be a little bit of a surprise on the person who sent this.
Oh.
So I'm about to play...
Is this more listener feedback?
Not quite feedback.
Has someone asked someone to get married?
Dun, 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 dun,
Damien's
dun,
getting
dun,
married.
dun. Am I? Oh my god. I said yes.
She messaged Harley to ask you over the podcast. She's not even here.
Just wants to record it live. Well, now I feel there's a lot of pressure to say yes. Like,
Exactly.
That's why she wanted... This episode is actually the first live episode of Surprise Synopses.
oh my god. Hi, Mom.
Come on up.
That would be the worst. A podcast that slowly becomes like a live entrapment. That'd be a dope way to do. What are those ones where you intervene in someone's life when they have a drug problem?
Oh, an intervention.
Yeah, right. Intervention. Like bring them in for a live podcast and you intervene with them live on, like in a live recording booth.
This is just between you and me. We're just here to help you and everyone listening for their entertainment.
Oh, what a nightmare.
Yeah.
What an actual nightmare that would
We're
be.
getting some live listener comments right now. About half of them are very supportive of your journey, Damien, and the other half are telling you to just really double down on that drug habit.
Yeah. Just,
We've actually got a
Go
poll
hard
going.
or go Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato. Fuck it.
All right, the surprise. All right, here it is. For the listeners, when we go into the actual show, I'll drop this in before we do so you can hear it not shittily like I'm about to play. Because, actually, I'll just hold my microphone next to it because I've already heard this.
Why don't you just edit it in and cut all that out?
Because you guys need to hear it.
Yeah, but why does the microphone need
Stop
to hear
talking to me so I can play the fucking clip.
It? It doesn't make any sense.
You don't make any sense.
is why I'm
The whole
quitting.
system's out of order.
That's why I'm quitting.
why don't you both shut up? Wait, play the thing.
Alex, this song is for you. You don't know me, but I feel like I know you. This is because you're my dear podcast friend, and I'll be with you till each podcast's very end. So Alex, I want to say I think you're pretty funny. Some of your plots are so good, maybe they could even make you some money, which I don't have, so sorry I can't fund it, but good luck out there. So Alex, this song is for you. And you don't know me, but I sure feel like I know you. You're my dearest podcast friend. Oh, maybe not dearest, but dear. And I'll be with you till every podcast end. I think that's the end of my shout out. I don't know what else to say. Like, funny, I guess, was my main compliment. And shout out to the rest of the crew too. Thanks for being there, Damien and Harley. Okay, bye.
Is this what it's like to be famous? I thought you guys weren't going to get a name drop in there for a minute. And the other guys.
What? Yeah, tell us more about that.
Does it need it? I thought it was rather self-explanatory.
Do you know who that person is?
Yes.
All right.
That is fellow Waterfall Stories alumni Chrissy, who is the star of We're Human and from season 1 of Case Notes.
Ah.
And I asked her, because I've been asking my friends who tell me they listen to the show, what your favorite episode was, or, which pitch was great, or who you like, and whatever, so I can give them a shout out. And Chrissy, being very Chrissy, had to go one step further.
Holy crap on a cracker. Thank you, Chrissy.
So that's Chrissy's shout out to Alex.
Oh, that was very cute. I liked that a lot. That was very nice. At the start, I didn't quite catch that she said Alex, and I was like, hold the phone.
What?
But wait, I'm Alex.
Yeah. Oh, that was a lot. All right.
And this has been a slight extra surprise for Chrissy because she wanted to record that a month ago, around the time that you told us this might be happening.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to hold on to this one for the final episode.
Wow, that's cute.
Oh.
You guys didn't get a song, did ya?
Well, it must be nice to have a fan.
Every time I've asked my other friends to do shout-outs, they've always picked yours.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You just don't remember the episodes when I tell you this.
I think this is selection bias because, like, literally every time I put an episode on, Rach is like, Alex is the funniest. You guys aren't funny. You and Harley aren't funny. Alex is funny. I'm like, oh, thanks, Rach.
I love that.
She's
I
very
live for that.
supportive of Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she has a lot of support for the creative endeavors of Alex.
That Alex is really going places.
Yeah, bye guys.
Yeah, but
I secretly do have another offer. I'm going to another podcast.
Oh, no.
I don't
yeah,
I don't know
you've
any
leveled
other
up.
names of podcasts.
We were just the starter podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Gwen Stefani called me.
You've made it in the big time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Gwen Stefani's podcast, Cool, where she just talks about cool things with cool people.
Yeah, I just click a lot. Cool.
You know, whenever I see like celebrities that are celebrities for other things, like actors or like news reporters or politicians or like people that are like famous for whatever other reason, and they also have a podcast.
How do you feel about it?
Well,
Because I have strong feelings.
I feel a bit like you've already got your fame, buddy. Like, you know, you're already like handsome and successful in your own field. And then you're like, oh, but I'll also gobble up those podcast listens.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, you've got something. Leave podcasting to the rest of us. It's what it's for. Conan O'Brien, you 7-foot-tall funny motherfucker. You don't need a podcast too. You've got things. So many things.
Yeah, podcasting is like the community radio of this generation.
So, Damien, you had a special thing for this episode, even though you didn't know it was going to be a special episode. So what's your surprise?
So I've been thinking a lot about film trilogies lately, about how they're, when I was growing up, they weren't very popular. No one really made trilogies. There was really just like Star Wars. And then
Back to the Future.
Yeah. So there was a few outliers, and now it seems like trilogies are very much the thing. So I thought the three of us, we could do a trope and genre trilogy where we each take part 1, part 2, or part 3 and pitch a franchise.
I love it. I love serialization. I'm all in for this. I only have one condition.
I do love cereal as well, but like breakfast
cereal.
Actually, that's a lie. I haven't eaten cereal except for Fruit Loops, but just like out of the bag when I'm hungover since I was in high school.
Oh.
Even then I'm a toast girl. I'm not a cereal girl. It's just I don't see it. And Alex is obsessed with Wheat Bix. He'll eat like a whole 16 Wheat Bix, and I'm like,
16.
that's probably he's not like he eats like those big metal mixing bowls. Like
Yeah.
he'll eat out of that because normal bowls don't fit the amount of Wheat Bix he needs.
Oh my God, it's like a trough.
And it's fucked. I'm like just sitting
That's
there
too
with
many.
my mouth agape, trying to eat my piece of Vegemite
I
toast.
feel greedy when I put 3 in and then I put an extra 1 sideways into the bowl. Like, just squeeze an extra. I'm like, oh, Damien, you pig.
Well, get in line because apparently
You're
you just
only-
feel fine now. You're like, this is not enough. Like I'm
shit.
healthy. Like,
Jesus. He's out there eating 2 to the 4 Wheat Bix. What a mad lad.
yeah,
What an absolute unit.
does
Yeah.
not fuck about.
Just poured milk into the Wheat Bix box.
We're gonna literally
That would be
like
quicker.
go under
Yeah.
just because I can't afford all the Wheat Bix that he's eating.
I was trying to make an insolvency joke work in my head, but it was just not going to happen. All right, so my one condition for this serialization is, Damon, you cannot go first.
Oh.
Because you will stick us in some faraway place in some time a long time ago.
Oh, because I was hoping to go second, and I was hoping you'd go first because I feel like you'll put some lots down, and also you'd fuck it. So I'm like, you just go third. The third movie's always the shittest one. So
Okay,
you just do
Harley,
third.
if you think you've got what it takes to drive this train, why don't you go first and set up all the elements,
Yep.
and then Alex goes second
Great, so
in,
we're
the,
fucked.
in the middle bridge, and then I'll bring it
Fucking
home.
Jesus.
Sounds good to me, Captain. Let's get it rolling.
I'll bring it on in.
So are you just gonna like create everything, or are we gonna like build a little bit together at the start? Or is it just like he
Well,
gets
how
free-
about we pull
free
a
rage?
trope and a genre and we'll have a general discussion. Then I'll ignore all of it and just do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, let's kind of
Put
like
your hands in the coconuts
communal.
and shake it all up.
It's
Two-handed,
communally-
come on, put both fists
double
in.
fisting.
Oh, they're both
Double
going
fist.
in.
Particularly
Legend of
sleazy
the
right now.
Damien.
Yeah.
Double fisting.
Oh,
Okay, so we have Disaster. That must be the trope.
Well, it really depends on what you open on the other piece of paper.
Yeah. Disaster. Alien Invasion. Sure.
All right.
okay.
Whether subtle and secret or loud and proud, aliens are here for peace, profit, for about 120 minutes at a time, or 360 minutes at a time in the case of a three-parter, e.g. Independence Day, Avatar. Yeah, I mean, I suppose Avatar was one, but we were the
Yeah,
aliens.
exactly. That was James Cameron's brilliant idea, was that we were the aliens. But what if
Or that
alien-
movie called Alien Invasion where they blow their heads up and it's like really, it's like it's not even a B grade movie.
Mars
it's like a
Attacks.
C grade. Is it? Isn't there another one? Or is it Mars Attacks as
Yeah,
well? Yeah. We turn to jelly.
Okay, well, I think these pair pretty well, right?
Yeah.
Alien Invasion disaster films. Like,
Yeah, so it's not a
but
positive invasion.
Independence Day is literally this. Like, it's
Yeah.
it's a pre 9/11. Like, hey, isn't it funny when we just like blow up all our landmarks? Lol, 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 lol.
Then we found out things could blow up for real.
Yeah, that we didn't like that no more.
9/11 was an inside job though, so you know.
So not aliens.
Yeah.
Well, it's an inside job if you're talking about planets. Like Earthlings did it.
Yeah. I think Americans probably did it too though, in my humble opinion.
Oh.
But anyway.
Did they use the space lasers?
No, but I feel like whether or not like who technically blew it up or things like that, but I think it was planned in a certain way to
So you're like,
to
doesn't matter
create
who
a
was
war.
driving the plane, you got to follow that money.
Yeah, exactly. And just have you seen all the videos about how the planes look CGI and it's like all the same video, like they're just like, and like audio of like people saying things in like a video that was from here or from like 300 meters away, it'll have the same audio bit because they just were too lazy, just edited into both. Like if a girl screaming, it's the exact same. Things like that.
I always find things like that not very compelling because I'm like, as if anyone's going to be too lazy. Like if you're trying to like pull off a massive fraud,
Yeah.
you'd be like super careful with stuff like that.
But also live, I guess. Like at one point where the plane, like like in all the videos, they always go black just as the plane hits it. Like
Is that
and, like,
because they don't want you to show you all those people
because
dying?
it's just hard, and like one where the plane like comes through then just disappears, or one just as it reaches it, the wing glitches and disappears, like things like that. There's quite a lot. It's interesting to watch. For sure, is.
I went that way for about a month in year 8 because I had a broken leg and nothing else to do.
Well, I currently have a broken ankle, so no, this is what I do my life.
It was a real weird month for me.
You
My
watch
friend made
Alien
me a
Conspiracy
poster.
on Netflix.
My friend made me a poster of like why she like what reminds me most of her or something is like because she was doing it for everyone she worked, well, a few people she worked with, and mine were all just different conspiracy theories, like hey, it's Avril Lavigne who is actually the clone, and like
Okay, so I have a question.
Wait, do all the clones have Lyme disease or just the prime one?
Well, if the
No,
Prime
that-
has,
that's
they
a-
all would, wouldn't they?
that's a lie.
Why did they clone Avril Lavigne?
Because she killed her. No, she didn't clone herself. It's so she had like a person who looked the same as her that would step in for like red carpets and stuff, and then Avril Lavigne
like a
killed
double.
herself when her grandpa died, and so they had this girl called Melissa step in and just be her. That's why she sort of just changed who she is quite a lot. But it's actually Melissa now.
So, in the song Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne, in the second verse, she says X years from now, and then it talks about how the Skater Boy is really famous and the other girl's sitting back at home and Avril Lavigne is with the Skater Boy. It says X years from now, not, that the first verse happened ages ago. So she's predicting the future. She's not reciting a past memory. So my conspiracy theory is that Skater Boy was actually a prediction or fantasy by Avril Lavigne and not a recounting of factual events.
No, because you find out that like even though it's Skater Boy is performed in the present tense for the first two verses, you find out that actually she's contemporaneous with the final verse, and she's like, and actually I'm now with the Skater Boy, and she's recounting these events as past. Like that's what's going on chronologically.
The truth is out there, people. Do your research. So,
Chemtrails.
That's a thing too, for sure. No.
Don't give me a spook.
I believe
like that.
everything. I bet you still think the world's still around.
How do you feel about vaccines?
Oh my god, people who don't when they're like vaccines cause autism, like your autism. Like, oh my god, literally all you have to do is Google Andrew Wakefield and it literally tells you that he
Okay, thank God, because if
thing
you
at a
had the
birthday.
other opinion, I was going to be
I'm
glad
not a
you're
fucking
leaving.
Idiot. Oh my lordy.
Oh, thank God.
Just cut her mic off.
I'm in health,
Yeah.
like yeah.
Just edit over the top with like, I think vaccines are great. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, he literally got paid a shit ton of money to like inject kids at his kid's 5th birthday with like sadness. And gave him like $5 each or something. It was fucked.
Yeah.
It's like, science, nailed it. Give me all your money. But bloody Karen on the internet is like, fucking Karen.
She just wants to see his life's manager.
Some memes though that come out of that. Mwah. Probably my favorite memes are the anti-vax memes.
The historians 200 years from now looking back will be like, yeah, the world was going to shit, but the meme's top notch.
All right, this is just a conspiracy theory video now of audio.
Both.
Unless there's still cameras here. I still don't believe you that there isn't. But
So you have a theory about a conspiracy that there are cameras aren't here.
yeah, I forgot what I was going to say now though. So that's fucked.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. We need to talk about
I doubt it.
a disaster alien invasion.
Yeah.
Has there been an alien disaster
That's what I was
trilogy?
going to talk about.
Oh,
This might
God.
actually be a thing. You know how there used to be a lot more alien sightings like 10,
Yeah,
20
before
years ago?
smartphones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's like a conspiracy that is actually us coming back from the future to sightsee, but because there's so well documented this time because of all the smartphones and cameras and all that sort of stuff that there's no real need to come back to this time, or it's just so close in the future that it's not really that different.
To sightsee
Yeah.
the 80s.
Yeah, why not? If you could, like, and that's why they would see it so much is because like that was us coming back, but there's no point to come back to here because it was only 10 years ago.
See,
Like,
the thing is, we've remembered or preserved all the good / memorific things from the 80s, so you can probably just forget all the other shit like Reagan and all the other terrible music that happened. Like,
I'm just dropping thought bombs.
here's a thought bomb for you: time travel. It's only really good for white people.
What?
Well, it depends if it's
If
like
you're not
just,
white,
like,
where are you going to go in history that's really good for you?
it's more. I feel like it would be used for an observational, like an
back to
educational thing.
Germany and assassinate Hitler?
You had to be that guy, didn't you?
Back to Central Africa and assassinate Leopold?
So, do we want a campy alien invasion, or do we want a good one?
Good.
All right, strong choice, Alex.
Thank you.
Good one. Let's do a classy one. I just thought of a...
Well, you're
alien-
third, so hold your mouth.
Save it for the sequel, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh.
The sequel.
No, I thought of it...
You can do a prequel if you want.
No, he can't.
Don't tell him what to do. There's no rules.
Yes, there are. There are several rules.
No, you're doing the first movie. I'm doing the second movie. He's doing the third movie. That's
Yeah.
all. He can do a
Those are
prequel
3
if he wants to do a
rules.
prequel.
Disagree. Hard
Uh,
disagree.
Okay.
You do whatever you want, baby girl.
Oh.
Don't you dare recontextualize my narrative meaning and needlessly.
This was his idea.
A trilogy where all the pieces are like competing against each other. But my characters wake up and your one was just a dream.
Haha! You just like shoot yourself in the head immediately. Like, this is gonna be a long ass movie.
I'm not going to unpack that.
Okay, how are you going to set up this franchise?
All
Lindsay
right.
Lohan, Smoky Eye Girl, go.
So I feel like the first thing I'm going to do, since I know that this is a trilogy and it's not like The Matrix or Back to the Future where I make one thing and then suddenly the studio goes, actually, that did really well. Can you make another 2?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to set up that the alien invasion is like the big reveal at the end of the movie. So whichever one of you two is having to follow me, good luck. Alex. Oh shit, she
I
dabbed
dabbed.
on me. That's not actually happened to me before. I'm usually the dabber, not the dabbee.
I only just learned how to do that.
Not particularly hard.
It's because you've broken legs, so you have to up your like
My
upper
arm
body
movement.
vocabulary. Yeah.
Oh my god, we went out on Sunday night as like my like going away and dancing with a boot on. It limits you.
So
Oh, yes.
dancing around with a broken leg.
Yeah. Couldn't do the moonwalk. Didn't try to do the moonwalk. That would have been funny to try.
Well,
though.
you could have done the moon boot walk.
Yeah, it was just stomping on.
It's just
people's
over to
tootsies.
the table and sitting down.
No, I didn't do that. I danced. I'm gonna say 85% of the night. I gave 0 chickens to my Wiccan.
That's a new phrase. Coined here. You heard it first. Chickens
Please
for your
don't use
Wiccan.
it. They're gonna make fun of you. Don't be bullied.
All right. So the end we're getting to is that this
Well, hang on.
Oh my
Hang
god.
on. Like, to end?
Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm just going to start talking. You can deal with it.
Yeah, go.
So the ending that we're going to get to in the movie is going to be that this whole disaster was actually aliens.
Yep.
So that the sequel has some material to actually work with.
Okay, so the aliens are going to be the reveal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be sort of, for the most part, a straight-ahead disaster movie.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get all of our ducks in a row. Firstly, what kind of disaster are we going for? We can't have something boring in real life like global warming.
Quack,
because
quack.
global warming is a real threat, but it's not very cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And we're not doing out-and-out aliens yet, so we can't do that. So we need some phenomenon that is very cinematic, dangerous, but also
Giant, enormous sinkhole.
can work on a human scale.
Yeah. It's like eating away at the land and everyone's falling in. They're like, bah! And then they find out that there's like alien eggs at the bottom of the lake and they're like hatching and that's why the water holes and making it.
So
What about mass
There you go. Boom.
spontaneous
I've
combustion?
done the first one. Your turn. You're on the second one now.
I'm going to use about a third of Alex's suggestion.
It's more than I thought.
It's good negotiation.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to start out...
Deal. I'll take it. $50.
Aw. Pats down wallet, sadly. I think actually I have exactly $50 on me, which is weird.
Well, now Alex has $50.
Yeah. How dare you have one single note of bill?
No, it's a 20, a
Sent
10,
pieces
a 10,
in a
10 and
baggie.
2 5s. Minus 1 10. So we're going to have start out as a sinkhole, which is not that weird, but then it's going to be sort of like cracks in the earth, and then they're going to sort of widen up. So you still get the people falling in and the sadness, but also there's stuff you can do like not fall in, drive away, fly, that sort of thing.
Is there is one big continually expanding wormhole, or is there lots all at once?
That's the thing. I think it's sort of interesting if it starts as one sinkhole, then you can bring in the scientist character, and then you get the general character going, actually, there are multiple sinkholes opening at all these locations. And then the cracks start happening, so there's some escalation.
Yep.
So it turns out this episode is us just actually writing a movie, which is, much more to my strengths than what we normally do. So that's our set piece. Now we need some characters to contextualize the disaster. All right. So the lead character is going to be a scientist, and she's going to be a geologist, because that seems like who you'd call in for this sort of thing.
Sounds fucking boring though. Make her guns, bang bang, an evil geologist. Pow pow.
All right, so
An evil geologist.
very rare that not one word has been written on the page of the script, but I'm also already getting punch-up notes. So she's going to be a private geologist, like she doesn't work for a government facility.
Oh, she wears a hat.
She works for like Exxon Mobil.
She's a mercenary
She wears a
geologist.
fedora.
She works for whoever's paying her, but she doesn't compromise the results.
She's like James Bond, but not at all.
Kind of like, she's got that sort of intensity of like, when you pay me, you're going to get what you ask for, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, she's like, I'm a dirty girl. I do it all. Fracking, all of it.
Yeah.
Fracking,
Yeah.
like with whips and stuff.
Somehow worse.
No. I don't know how you frack. When I do it, we generally pour like a kind of a protoplastic down into kind of a like a cracked area, and then it dries, and then you use like seismic percussion to like shatter it all and free oil.
Okay, continue.
I was for sure you had something to say about fracking, because it seems like a conspiracy theory thing you might jump onto, even though fracking is real and very bad.
Fracking is real.
And
Conspiracy
very
theory
bad.
that fracking is real. Like, no one's ever really done
Guys, did you know fracking is actually real?
it. What? No.
That could be like a thing. Someone's like takes something that's actually real that everyone knows and presents it like a conspiracy theory. Guys, you know like most of the milk you buy in the supermarket actually comes from cows? They don't want to...
Do you
You
know
know,
that you legally
Big Milk
have to
doesn't
go
want you to
primary
know.
school?
Yeah, it doesn't just say it on the carton.
Yeah.
You think it comes from humans, but it doesn't.
It's a really
What are all
easy
those sheep for then?
formula, isn't it? Big X doesn't want you to know why.
You can go in and out of doors, or are you always just going out?
Man, push and pull are just suggestions. Doors can't tell you what to do.
Think about that later tonight, like laying there in bed, like, am I really just always going out of a door?
All right, for the listener at home, the look on Damien's face was mortal disgust.
I'll deal with that privately.
So we've got our main lady character. She's a mercenary geologist.
Yep, dark geologist.
She gets results.
What's her name?
Okay, you guys, I'm a fraud. I don't have a name.
Ruby, Opal,
Ruby,
Sapphire, a rock name. The Rock.
Well, we'll go
The Rock.
with Ruby because I think the Rock's taking, and Ruby is a good name.
Ruby Granite, dark geologist.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're leaning heavily on nominative determinism already with a name like Ruby for a geologist.
Ruby, Ruby, Ruby. And they play that song every time she comes in the room.
God, no. That's a passable song.
You've never been drunk singing that in a car then?
That is actually true. I have never done that.
Yeah,
Not
but-
driving though. Don't drink and drive, y'all.
No, definitely
Uber.
don't do that.
Uber and drink.
Don't drink. Don't drink and wait. Don't drive and sing that song.
I've never done that
Pick
as well.
two.
I feel like personally. Yeah.
So you can drink and drive as long as you don't sing that song. Is that what you're saying, Damien?
Yeah, I guess that's the rules I'm laying down.
All
My
right.
Venn diagram has flaws.
All right. Ruby. Last name.
Granite.
No, it's
Granite's
not.
fine. Jones.
Ruby Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
that's
Indiana
good.
Jones.
Sure. He runs away from rocks. She's a geologist.
Yeah, and then we don't get copyrighted.
Please
we
no
don't get
sue.
sued. All right, Ruby.
Love that for you. I quit, so fuck you. Your problem, not mine. Bye.
Actually, guys,
You can say all the problematic things.
Yeah. That's why I'm dropping all these truth bombs about ET being real.
So
ET's actually a documentary.
the middle film is set at the
Oh God, the Church of Bleepatology, more like it. I'm not actually really afraid of them, but I kind of am because they're the only people stupid enough, crazy enough, and with enough money to actually go through with suing a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Although they'd have to prove damages, which is hard. Anyway, Ruby Jones is our mercenary geologist.
Yep.
And we need sort of a way for her to get in. So
Legs. She
so-
walks.
Bold.
A wheelchair.
some
Up to you.
wish fulfillment, Alex.
Wish I could walk. Okay, so
Where?
she gets called in by the military.
No.
or-
So her old, on again, off again, flame from geology school.
Is this the Chris Pratt type?
Yeah, but not Chris Pratt because we can do way better than Chris Pratt.
No, who's the guy from... Yeah, that guy.
L. Ron Hubbard,
What? No.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Nah.
You can break, like, Ellen's arms.
So he
Oprah
didn't go
retired.
into private work, and then so their tryst ended at the
Does
end.
he
of,
wear, like, a knit vest sweater?
No, but he's got the patches on his elbows,
Ugh. Okay.
and he wears glasses.
Of course he does. Is it
Yeah.
you?
No, I'm not a geologist. I'm a chemist.
You're a scientist.
That is true.
Oh, get fracked.
Rather not.
I'm sorry, you're a painter.
What?
No. Alex. He works in retail.
Hey, what did I do?
I just want you to feel left out. This is my last day.
Oh,
How's your ears doing?
I want to dignify that with a response. Harley, please continue.
Oh God, I've never heard those words before.
I know it felt wrong for me too.
So, she's going to meet up with old ex on again, off again. He works for the government. Toby Vasquez, that's a name. Sure, why not?
Okay.
So Toby Vasquez works for the U.S. Department of Geo whatever
Yep.
they're actually called. And so the B plot is obviously them being on again, off again because they're being forced to work together. We're going to have a C plot about some relatable people caught up in this tragedy. So that'll be our regular everyday Joes.
So what's the meat and potatoes of this?
Yeah.
Meat and potatoes. They're gonna bang.
Can neither confirm nor deny. So, all right. She's getting out of the water, pulling off her scuba mask, and then there's
What
some...
a kinky geologist.
To wear scuba gear while underwater.
Yeah.
Scooby is not actually very attractive once you've got the full rig on and the...
But it is skin tight.
No, well, it's
In
tight,
this
but
movie,
in a
it's
wet...
actually just spray painted on.
Oh, it's like a James Bond scuba diving scene.
Yeah.
Where it's like bikini, but also like a harpoon gun.
Yeah.
So she climbs out of the water. There's a helicopter going on the platform, and there's some executive types. And she climbs out, and they're like, "Did you find the source of the oil spill?" And she's like, "Did you pay me?" And like, "Yeah, we just sent the $1 million to your account."
Yeah.
And then she hands them like, a MacGuffin, and it's like, "It was you idiots." And she just slaps it onto their, very expensive suits. And like, they're like, "But we paid you to prove it wasn't us." And then she just jumps in the helicopter, but it was, and flies off.
Uh-huh.
So that establishes her as being in charge, a competent geologist, takes no guff, and gets results no matter what, the people paying her want her to do.
And people probably want her dead.
It's not like we need conflict in a movie now, is it, Alex? God. What do we do with that?
Meat mop.
So we'll cut to a very trendy place for her to live.
Yep.
Yeah.
Melbourne.
Yeah, she's got her
No, I mean this
geology.
room.
Oh, this room.
She's got a little thing. She's got a Nerf gun thing. She's got her little things
Yeah.
that she plays on the table with the thing.
Warhammer.
Yeah, whatever. Is that what it is?
Yeah. I
I
played
thought
a
it was
game on
called
Saturday.
Dungeons
It was
and
okay.
Dragons.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
That I also do on the weekends.
Near miss. Okay, so she goes back
Better
to
than
her
a big
geology
miss.
lab /
Yeah,
expensive
she's
condo.
got Damien, what's one of those South American places that's kind of tropical all the time and are really exotic to Western movie audiences?
Costa Rica.
Yeah, sure.
Conspiracy theory.
So
That's
she's
not a
got
real
one of
country.
those, sort of estates.
It has the highest biodiversity in the world, that country, for its area.
Interesting.
Yeah. Fun fact, audience. Now I learned you a thing.
Kind of
Fact
like
of the
how the
day.
Vatican has like 1.3 popes per square mile.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I like Damien's better.
I don't care. So she goes back to
Yes,
her...
you do.
Shit.
Oh,
She got
but
me.
you do.
She goes back to her estate in Costa Rica, and it's one of those like sort of not huge mansions, but like she's doing all right for herself. And she goes in, she gets changed, whatever, and there's a cool one shot of her on the elevator, and it's kind of like the de-gearing sequence, and she ends up back in her lab underneath her house.
Is she Iron Man but for rocks?
Yes.
There's an element of that.
There's an element of a lot of
element.
movies in this.
And then she'll have one of those giant screens like all good, I wish I did, scientists do. And there'll be an incoming call from Toby Vasquez, USDG, whatever.
Yep.
Uh,
Have the sinkholes happened at this point?
yes, but she isn't aware of them.
Okay.
So,
So we've seen them in the opening, and then it's
no,
kind
we
of,
haven't seen them. We're going to learn about them the same time she does.
That's what I mean. Have they happened in the film yet? No.
They've happened chronologically, but not visually.
Yep.
And she's like, "Oh, Toby," and then she cradles a glass of brandy or something.
Jägermeister. She's a classy lady.
She drops a Jaeger bomb before hitting accept call,
Yeah.
and Toby pops up on the screen, and she's like, "Toby, you old fox, what are you up to?"
Oh, so she's 50.
Yeah, sure, why not?
No one under 50 calls someone a fox.
Fair enough. And then Toby appears on screen, and he's a similarly aged, appropriate person.
He's 12.
No, and he's like, "Ruby, you old hound.
Probably old for an actual fox.
How are you doing?" And she's like, "Well, I just got back from, telling some oil jerks that they're jerks with oil." She explains, she humorously quips about where she just came from. And he's like, "Well, so you're open for a new contract?" And she's like, "Well, what do you got?" And then stuff starts popping up on the screen because this is a movie and who gives a fuck about how telecommunications actually works.
Yep.
And this is where he goes into detail about sinkholes have opened up. There have been 3 in the continental US alone. And then he lists some other unimportant places. We'll put one in Australia, one in mainland Europe, one just somewhere in Russia, you know.
But wait, 1 in Russia and 3 in the continental United States.
Yeah.
So they've got way more.
It's a Hollywood movie. It's very US centric, and probably one somewhere else where who knows, who cares, but it's out there. And she's like, "Okay, if you're paying, I'll come and investigate them." And so she starts flying to wherever, and on the way she's like, I just got to tell somebody about something, and this is where we introduce we don't have time for the B plot yet. All right, so she ends up in, we get one of those scenes.
Is this a blow by blow of the entire movie?
I feel like we're still in the first scene.
Yeah.
We're still in the first half hour.
Feck. A surprise synopsis, not a surprise detailed encounter of the entire movie.
So she meets Toby on an aircraft carrier. Then they take a helicopter to one of the sites of the sinkholes.
Yep.
And that's when they get there. They start doing soil readings and whatever. And then cracks start to come off the sinkhole. And she's like, "But that's not how sinkholes do."
Mm-hmm.
And Toby's like, "This cannot be good." So then they're investigating, and then we'll pull a trick out of Independence Day's book, and we'll make the sort of everyman people the president of America. So like the president will pop up and be like, "What's going on with these sinkholes?" And we're like, "We've got our best people on it, so we're working at it." And then the cracks start to form, and then the disaster movie starts happening. You can sort of move through the middle second of the movie, the middle third, sorry, a little bit quicker here, because this is where all the action scenes of stuff falling over.
Yep.
And the big plot point we're trying to get to is that the cracks for the 3 sinkholes in the continental US are joining up. They're actually in a triangle.
Oh, they're forming a Triforce.
Yeah.
Yep.
And somewhere in there, the oil executives will try and assassinate Ruby, but Toby will, say, "Watch out." She'll use a geology implement to mortally wound them. They'll try again. She'll dodge, and they'll fall into the sinkholes, never be seen again. You know, paying that off. Meanwhile, the US president is trying to get his family out. Like, "Come on, Michelle, it's time to evacuate." Whatever.
But they're white. Obama and Michelle, but they're white.
Guys, hear me out. President of the United States, but this time he's white.
There's been 2 non-white US presidents.
Who's the other one?
Donald Trump, he's all red. I'm going to put the Soviet national anthem just a tiny bit in there. Damien's pulling out his phone.
Do they have a national anthem, or do they just be like potatoes, vodka? Why have you got that as an app?
Of course you have that ready. All right, that's enough. We don't get sued or nuked.
Murdered.
It's just really handy to have that as an app.
Yeah, actually,
Use it daily.
Based on
I do use it a lot.
current news topics, you would get a lot of mileage out of that.
Yeah, big fan of having like kind of props for physical comedy.
Yep.
Nike.
So then Toby and Ruby, get hot and heavy because they're all amped up on the nearly dying all the time stuff.
Yeah.
As you do.
What with falling in the sinkholes and etc.
Yeah.
Saying, "Oi, watch out, Ruby."
Can we get anyone other than Alex to play Toby?
No.
Please?
Yes.
Whew, thank God.
I'll be Ruby then. Fuck off, cunt.
All right, same deal, but Ruby. You can be in the movie, Alex, just not those 2. You can't be the president.
Yeah, we've got a great character for you. She's mute.
Apparently, she's
I
a
could be
sheep.
just as annoying without making noise.
I don't doubt that, but please don't display it because it wouldn't play to the audience at home.
No, sorry guys.
That's all right. Apology accepted. So after their one night standy sort of whatever dealio,
Bangarang. Bass.
after
So you forgot about that song, didn't you?
they commune and form the beast with two backs, they wake up and then they have that sort of epiphany that everyone does around this point in the movie and be like, what if it's not just the ones in the US that are lining up?
Oh, does she see some like commonplace interaction happen? And then she's like, wait a minute, this is a perfect metaphor for like the thing I didn't notice.
Sort of. She does that thing after you've been intimate that your mind is sort of clear of all the other useless junk. And she's like, wait a minute. Oh my God. And then they do that
You're
thing.
much, my very.
What a weird flex.
Yeah.
Me.
You know how your mind goes really clear after you've been intimate? No, not really. I just sob.
That's just a subconscious process for me now. Then we get an overhead headshot of someone dumping everything off a table and rolling out maps.
Uh-huh.
And someone has
I love a good map rollout in a film.
Yeah, but you'll love it even more, Damien. The first map they pull out, Mercator projection, they just toss that shit over their shoulders. Not good for anything.
Uh-huh. That's one for the map nerds out there.
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
I barely do. It's great. Then they start to overlay the ones over the US with the rest of the world in a global formation and realize that it's forming some sort of geometric shape. Like the ones in the US are like the base of a tower, and the ones on the other side of the world are like the prongs, and
You know what'd be really cool for this sequence? If you got like, instead of like having the maps,
Yeah.
they're like, wait a minute, no, this won't do. And they pull it like a globe and get like kind of kitchen skewers.
Yeah,
and And like kind of dot the globe and then thread the skewers through.
Yep.
And it kind of like starts to form like a pattern.
Yep. That's actually what I was sort of thinking of. So yeah, we'll do that.
You're welcome.
I'm just imagining that episode from Sunny in Philadelphia when he's like the conspiracy things on the wall with all the dots and the strings and shit.
But it all lines up. You'll see.
With the Siggy and he's like eyes are really wide.
Oh, is that what that meme's from?
Yeah.
Always Sunny. Yeah, right.
Pulling a Kermit and moving right along, then they're like, shit, this means something, but we don't know what it means. So what does the scientist...
Pulls back and it's like the hand doing the like... what is this called? Like the...
It's like the OK symbol, but upside down.
Yeah, when it's like looking at your balls. You're like, that one? It's like the whole thing's a meme. And this was made on Reddit. Goes for an hour and a half just to like finish at that. Everyone's like...
Pulling an alkaline trio and moving right along.
Rather not.
You'd rather discuss that for an hour?
Well, an hour? These are meant to be 30-minute episodes. I don't think we've had a single one under 55 minutes.
We've had like a 45-ish.
That wasn't the speed round.
And then they prepare an off-the-books expedition into the sinkholes and stuff. You know, they'll rappel down or they'll use a JTOL jet or whatever. You know, by some mechanism, they descend. And then we get to the right end of the movie. Other people are dying, but all the cracks have stopped opening. The sinkholes have stopped sinking. You know, it's what it is going to be. And then they get to, you know, the center of where all the lines are confluencing, the nexus. And they discover evidence of aliens that whoever... Alex, you're doing the second one, right? Mm-hmm. Your movie can start right here so you can decide what the alien stuff actually looks like. But, yeah.
That's the whole movie.
Yeah.
They just like find something and it ends.
So it's really dark and they can't see anything, and then it kind of like they come out of an open area and there's like light, and they can like they gaze upon like an unreal vista, and there's just like lots of footage of them like reacting and kind of weeping and saying should have sent a poet, etc. And then the camera like pans across, and then like it's laid out for the audience. Like
yeah,
here are the aliens.
I'm going
the
to
money
leave
shot.
it up to you, Alex. What is the actual evidence of the aliens? Based on whatever your movie turns out to be. But the big reveal at the end of this disaster movie is they're trying to find out, you know, what's causing this. We'll have to go to the confluence of it all. And then they discover, shit, it be aliens. Mm-hmm. So we've set up Toby and Ruby as our heroes, who are on again, it seems. They're both rock and roll geologists. The oil people are taken care of.
Could we add like a minor victory to this? Like they find out that maybe there's a way to like arrest the sinkholes from growing, and they put that in.
Yeah,
motion
that
or
was in
something.
the middle third that I sort of glossed over.
Yeah, right. Just so there's like a minor triumph.
Yeah, that's where the people die. You get a minor victory.
Cool.
It's the sort of the action of the movie that isn't necessarily relevant to the overall plot here.
Yeah, so they're like fixing the sinkholes and like closing them up, but they're still trying to figure out what caused it.
Yeah, they're trying to stop it or prevent it from spreading, and then they eventually get to the center of it all and find bum bum bum. Here be aliens.
Okay.
All right.
So that is Nexus, the movie.
Nexus.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's just
And it's set in modern day.
Damn it.
Set in 2027.
Oh, I was hardly going to set that in like 1066, was I?
The helicopters, you have to at least set it after Da Vinci.
True.
It's a hard break on the 1600s-ish.
Okay, so I think they're going to go down and it's just like a super... There's no actual alien beings yet.
No.
And it's just like a super high-tech labby sort of thing, but like nothing that...
Like, it's like...
It doesn't look human. It's like,
all future tech, weird shit.
Yeah, super weird shit. And it looks like there was an accident which caused... Like, something went wrong with their thing and that's what's caused the stuff. That wasn't intentional. Or like it sort of was but sort of wasn't. Like maybe the cracks weren't intentional, or like something went wrong so they've abandoned it. And there's like all this stuff going on. And they're like sort of looking through things. And there's like a weird big rock thing. And
But this isn't an Earth rock. I'd recognize that.
yeah.
It's
It's pretty. It's teal. It's
a
turquoise.
space rock.
Yeah. And so they... What was the guy's name? Toby.
Toby Vasquez.
Toby-Wan Kenobi picks up
Yep.
the rock and it's sort of like, I don't know, like zaps him or something. Like, what's it called? Like electricity? When
Electrostatic.
Yeah,
Yep.
like just static electricity. And like, so it zaps him. He's like, whoa. And they like pick it up and they're like, well, this is like, we're geologists. This is a rock. Let's
This
take
is what
this
we're
back.
made for.
They're like, it's like, as they're leaving, like, because they're like investigating. I don't know why these guys are investigating the geologists, but anyway, as they're leaving, like the CIA is like going in to investigate everything else, but they've gotten like all the rocky stuff, and they're like, oh, we've got everything that can help us.
So they've got their rock
understand.
samples, but now the US government has realized they've gone on this unauthorized.
Oh, did they? I didn't know it was unauthorized. You
Oh.
did a lot of setup and not a lot of middle.
You were yelling at me that it was taking too long. But I
Okay.
did say that they.
So this is unauthorized. Okay, so they call it in, and because it was like they found the things, they're like, yeah, cool, sweet, all right, thanks, guys. Like, just like didn't really mention it, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
they've like taken all the stuff that can help them continue their investigation, and the CIA comes in, so they like help them get out, and they go back to
Her lab
Ruby's,
in
Ruby's
Costa
house,
Rica.
and so they're just like sitting in the lounge room with it like out on the table
Yeah.
and like looking at it, and they're like having a drink because apparently this is a Jägermeister house. And they're just like looking at it and they're like, it's not dense enough to be like dense all the way through. Doesn't make sense, but it's like impenetrable. Like, well, we also don't want to break it. Like, what is this sort of thing? It's super weird. And they like take it down into the lab and they're
Yep.
doing tests on it, and they don't really understand what's going on. But she hasn't really touched it at this point. Like, he was the one who like carried it into their hands, and she hasn't really like made that much touch.
Yep.
And she touched it, like, maybe she does touch it a little bit, and she notices like her hand feels sort of weird, and she's like, okay, this is obviously not good for me. Like, I'm not feeling like very well. It's sort of like burnt my hand or something. Like, why hasn't Toby said anything about it? And so she starts to like noticing him like get sicker.
Right.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, this isn't good. Like, why is he getting all sick? And they go out on another investigation thing to a sinkhole to like figure something out that they like wanted to understand. And as that sort of like comes together and they understand that plot of this rock, and it like sort of comes together, not the rock, just like in general, they're like, oh my God, like this is a new hole. Like, they've come back. America, like they must have a new lab, let's say. Like they're coming back. Like the world they haven't abandoned it. Like so,
Oh,
they,
so
like, maybe
they-
they find a sign on the floor somehow that's like they've come back. We've cracked their codes with all their rocks. This proves that they've come back to Earth. They left, but they've come back, and like America doesn't know that they're back, and they're like,
All right, or like that first lab that they found was all broken up, so they've moved on to one of their other labs underground.
yeah.
It's like maybe a new sinkhole can open up, and then they realize there must be another lab.
Because I feel like the sinkholes were an accident, and that's why the lab broke, and so they've just fucked off. So they weren't on the Earth, and so it's been like, and they've come back, and like they're like, why would they do this? Doesn't make sense. Like this is like they would have come back, and then like they hear something in the news, so they go investigate, and they're like, yes, like they're back. This proves it, but they're like still not trusting the government, so they go and do stuff, and he gets sicker and sicker, and she's like trying to figure it out more, and he's trying to like help but not show it, and he eventually he dies. He's dead.
Oh, you killed Toby?
Toby's
love
dead.
it.
Yeah.
Love it.
No!
But like not in a heroic way. He just slowly sort of dies off.
Take that, Harley. I mean, Tori.
And
all
so
that
she's
precious
like,
character building. Ruby's going
Yeah.
to be devastated.
she's like mourning through that, and so she sort of like.
My only
puts
regret
off
is
the
that I
rock
didn't
thing.
get to kill him off.
But so she's mourning through that, and she sort of just puts the rock aside.
I'm
and she
mourning.
just puts it in a thing, and she's like notices she's getting sick and like vomiting, and turns out she's pregnant from their little razzle dazzle.
Oh.
Did they have like a previous tryst like 9 months ago? Or has this been taking over place the
No, she's not about to give birth.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but pregnancy takes like a little while before you get morning sickness and stuff, right?
Yeah, but like it's been a couple months.
Has it? In my head, it's been like a week at most.
No, they're doing investigations, I reckon.
Okay.
Oh, but like, even if it's been, you can like find out you're pregnant after like 3 weeks. I'm pretty sure now with like even just with a P test.
Yeah, with a P test, sure, but like how long until morning sickness develops?
Well, you can
I think
easily
it'd be
just be
straight
like,
away.
this process is taking like a month, like 2 months.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's the sticking point. Is that it just
think-
wasn't clear to me, sorry, that the investigation was taking this long.
Yeah, I think with morning sickness though, it just depends on the person.
Okay.
Generally. Like
Also,
I know people
you got to
who
allow like
straight away.
latency time for him to die of like alien rock lymphoma or whatever
Yeah.
the hell.
and it's like a weird.
But die of the writer's hand.
Yeah, I think we need some sort of visual thing for this. Like, yeah, maybe it's like a burning, like it burnt up his hands.
Oh,
or
sort of
something,
like in
where
Iron
he
Man
touched
2
it.
where he's got like the...
Didn't watch it.
No one watched it, Harley.
I watched it.
What he touched something and like made his hand burn.
Oh, no,
like
in-
if someone touched like a nuclear thing, and you know how they get like their skin falls off and shit, and like
Yeah,
all that
okay,
sort of
I was
crap.
going for a slightly different thing because in Iron Man 2, he's getting poisoned by what's powering the suit, so it makes these like patterns on his skin and it's spreading from like the the chest piece out.
Yeah, all of that, just extra, lots, heaps of shit's going on his body.
Oh, it could be. I can't remember the name of it, but there's the pattern of when humans get shocked by lightning that makes a very specific lightning pattern.
Oh yeah,
So it could be something like that because you mentioned it sort of zappy earlier.
yeah, anything like those.
Yeah.
And so she's like doing more thing on that. She's got the baby. It's like sort of like she's like, oh, this is very overwhelming, and she just sort of puts it on the back burner for a little bit. Still doing research, but like not as hard. And there's sort of like development of like if she's figuring stuff out, which that's your problem to figure out what she figures out. But she has the baby.
All right, so the second movie ends with her.
No, we're like halfway through.
Oh,
That's
God,
boring. Nothing's
Alex.
happened yet.
It's
She has the
taking
baby,
too long.
but I've got a story.
Have
It's in my
you
head.
ever had a thought about
Yeah, but mine's
wrapping it up?
interesting.
Press F to doubt.
No F's are pressed. So she has the baby. He died from like horrible arm shit.
From
And
alien rock energies.
She like gets zapped from it. And I want to just somehow, I don't care how, this is the movie people problem director. It like fast forwards to him being a bit older and they're still trying to figure out what's going on.
All right, how long of a time jump are you doing?
He's like 3 or 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They're going to figure it out though. It'll make sense in the movie.
Will it?
And she's still investigating, but she's like sort of breaking through, sort of not. Getting really frustrated. She's like trying to look after this kid as well. And in the news, it's starting to come out. So this is where all the action comes in. That like weird substances are causing this stuff to happen again. And she's like, oh, fuck, like this is going wrong. Like it's coming out, like the alien thing's starting. So this is sort of the alien emerging. Like they're trying to kill off the humans to have the planet. Or maybe they're like pro-environmentalists and they know that the humans like ruining the world. Like they're the species ruining this world.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, all right, so we kill off the humans to keep like the world, the earth healthy.
Right.
Makes sense. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the end goal makes sense, but what is the alien's mechanism for doing that?
The rocky stuff. They're like they've created a powder that doesn't affect other things, but it like kills humans.
Right. So they're experimenting. They've brought this space rock to Earth, and they're in the process of like distributing it, basically, like powderizing it and
and getting it out there.
Right.
In some way. And she's sort of like concentrating on that and sort of being like I figured out like the rock, but like how do I connect it? And the kid is like playing around in there with her and touches the rock. And she's like, "Bah, my kids touched the rock." And she's like watching him, looking after it, and like nothing happens. No, you're off it.
No.
But it's because she had that interaction with it when she was pregnant. It's like made him immune because it was only enough. Like if she didn't die, and he like is now immune to it. Vaccines.
Oh.
I'm so mad that this worked. I'm so mad that you backdoored this in. Holy crap. I mean that's how vaccines work, and they do work. So
you think about it now. Correct. Wait until I give this kid autism.
I don't know how do I put the action in though? I mean, like yours is. Oh wait, it's disaster. It's alien invasion disaster.
Well, this rock is like
doesn't have to
killing
action.
people, right?
So now
it's like
presumably hundreds of millions of people are dying in the background of this movie.
Yeah, exactly. So that can be more emphasized as a disaster.
Plague mode.
Yeah, exactly. Because she's like locked in her little special thing, and like because it's an American movie, like it's all about America. Everyone's dying in America. It's only the white people that they care about. Like Russia's irrelevant. They're white too, I suppose. But yeah, it's all American. It's all American people.
No,
so
Damien,
she's like sort of figured out this thing, and I feel like that's probably the end of that movie.
Okay.
I feel like, and now it's your turn.
Okay.
So
all right. So there's a great dying going on, and the kid is 3, and he's kind of like immune to the kind of malefic powers of this rock, but everyone else seems to be contaminated. Alrighty, that's a good place to pick it up. Okay, so in your one, Harley, it was more like kind of Earthwrecker type one, and your
Independence
one's
Day,
more like kind of like the disease is spreading.
It's kind of ended zombie-ish, right? Except plaguey zombie.
It's like I feel like imagine as like nuclear power explosion, people getting sick and then dying.
Right, radiation sickness.
Yeah, that sort of.
So once you get affected, you get a month of like decline.
Yeah, like you don't catch it off each other. It's like if they're like where they put out the holes, it like releases into the air, and if you're in that area,
so the aliens are capitalizing on the lab accident. And then, like, just shoot that shit out the ejection
I feel like
ports.
what it was, the holes were on purpose, but the cracks were bad, and that was, like, fuck there.
Okay.
That was my imagination.
Well, all the cracks lining
That's
up
why
in
your
my one
holes
seems a bit
lining
weird.
up made sense, because they did do that on purpose. The cracks were like, oh no, and then, like, their lab sort of, like, broke, because, like, the earth, like...
Oh, they didn't account for, like, the tectonic plate shifting, and they weren't rock star geologists.
They dug holes no good.
All right,
unsafe hole digging.
See, not OSHA.
Didn't get a permit.
Yeah.
No OH&S compliance.
Didn't check for power lines under the ground.
They did not dial before they dug.
Exactly.
You guys ready for the grand finale?
Yes.
I don't know. The third movie is usually the worst in each trilogy.
Okay, here we go. So it is now like yet another 3 years more advanced.
Oh my!
And we enter a world radically different from the one that we got introduced to in the first one. So the first one was very similar to kind of our modern day, but now the ravages of this kind of plague that's come from this stone has totally transformed human society. So what's going on is that humans have cordoned themselves off into kind of like quarantine zones, and they have embarked upon a program of like aggressively defending that against anyone that's outside of that quarantine zone. So to the point of like entire cities have been like purged in nuclear fire, and if you kind of approach the no man's land from the contaminated lands, you just get shot or blown up by landmines or whatever. So there's a bit of a stalling in the aliens' plan, because they just thought that, well, it would just kind of like run from carrier to carrier to carrier and then wipe out all humans. But they've managed to quarantine themselves off, particularly in like kind of island nations. So there's like mountainous areas on the continents and island areas where kind of like the humans are holding out against these things. So what we see now is there's going to be kind of an alien fleet element being introduced, and this is going to be like my kind of disaster bit. So now alien ships arrive, and they are also kind of like look very much like they're built out of the same stone that we encountered in the first one. Kind of like same design, same like color, patterning, etc. So visually, there's a lot of it's teal.
Yes.
So kind of like visually, we see the kind of the same aesthetic across all three, but this time it's like, oh shit, this isn't just like some booby trap they left in the earth. This is like they've come to deal with us personal, like, and we're not very well equipped to this. However, we still have our mercenary rockstar geologist and her now 6-year-old son, who she hasn't told anyone is immune, and that he is kind of like special. Like he encountered this when he was in utero, so he's been immune to it. So what I propose is she realizes that that they look at the ships and their technology, and it's all built out of the same stone, and they're like, okay, well, this can't just be like actual rock. Like this must be like useful for them in some way. And they manage to shoot one of their little flyers down, and they go inside it, and all the consoles and stuff are the same type of like kind of rock that they found in the broken lab in episode 1. And they're like, wait a minute, we think these are like kind of computers, or they're more sophisticated, there's more to them than this. So they think that maybe if they can re-enter that initial lab, or maybe no, not the initial lab, they think that there's a lab that they have detected which didn't get opened up under a wormhole, that's like kind of pristine. So they reason that it's probably undamaged and it's probably still good to go, right? So maybe if they can get access to it, maybe they can learn more about it and learn how to defend themselves against the technology of the aliens. Meanwhile, they're like, aliens are flying overhead and wrecking things, and it's pretty bad news. It's looking pretty bad. So our rockstar geologist is gonna lead the team, and she is gonna leave her son in the care of their of the babysitter she's got there, and she's like, now you be good, blah blah. But just before they go to set out, an alien kind of raid goes over and blows up. Like kind of gets through their defenses and blows up a portion of the city, and it kills the babysitter, and like leaves the young lad cowering under a table, like really scared and whatever. And she's like, oh geez, now I don't know what to do. Like if I leave him up on the surface by himself, I've got no one I can trust, and I'm venturing down there at night, I might not come back either. So like, what am I to do? Like he's actually like he's more at threat on the surface where it could get crushed by masonry, but I know he's immune to the effects of the kind of poisonous rock. So I guess I'm gonna have to take him with me. So she makes it a condition of her arrangement. They're gonna lead this kind of like crack team back into this like laboratory, but they're gonna have to take her son. So there's a heightened level of drama for her, because now there's this like kind of unpredictable young child. So it's like a really high stakes. Like she's gambling everything that this is gonna work. So she goes down
Toby
there.
Jr.
Toby Juju.
Or was it Tony?
Toby Vasquez was the guy you murdered. Toby is not the name of the son, though. Vito. Hard Vito.
Call him Toby Jr.
Okay, so they're going down there. They're plumbing the depths, and there's like a scene where they're kind of like all rappelling down, and they're like dropping flares, and they're kind of like actioning while there's like the boom and crack of bombardments going on. And also, it's not kind of like kind of conventional war. The alien ships like behave kind of like really strangely. You know, the kind of visual like style would be like not like aircraft. They would be like zipping along and kind of like weird like flight patterns and
moving more vertically.
Yeah.
Doing weird
so
things.
You know, just to kind of up the alien like unknowableness. And they get down there, and they have to kind of like spelunk and rappel, and there's like kind of collapsings, and because they've like opened up the lab, but it's getting bombed from above, like things are coming down, and they also lose radio contact, and they think that maybe that's, you know, the worst has happened, and everything on the surface is gone, so maybe it's up to them. So they go down there, and they reinitialize the control panel, and she's trying to interface with it with her laptop and whatever, and it's not quite working. And then the lad wanders off, and she's like, "Oh my god, where is he? What's happened to him? Has he fallen down a shaft or something?" And actually, he's like kind of crawled through a small gap, and has found like a computer room where he's like inadvertently activated it, and not only is he resistant to the toxin of the rock, but because the rocks are kind of computers, when Toby Cortez.
Well, surely since Toby Vasquez died mercilessly by Alex's hands, the son would be, Ruby Jones's.
Sure. So when Toby was in the lab and he contacted the rock for the first time,
not calling him Toby.
No.
When
your move.
When the adult Toby, like in the first film, was down there and he touched the rock for the first time, like it interfaced, like it put some kind of like of the toxin in him and it poisoned him, but it also like kind of grabbed some of his intellect and backed it up into the computer. So anyway, the kid's like able to interface with the bizzo, and he like kind of can figure it out. He's like kind of intuitively like knows how to do it. And he starts kind of communing, and all the alien ships and the bombardments and whatever stop. And she's like, "What's going on? What's happening?" And the young child is like, "They're talking to me. I can kind of like hear the thoughts. It's very strange, whatever." And he starts to kind of translate or like open a dialogue. And the aliens are a little bit confused because they're like, "Well, hang on a minute. We thought the human race was like this, like." Non-sentient kind of like disease, planet destroying, like apex predator.
Yeah, a virus with legs.
Yeah. But and here we are, like, and you're telling us that like it was actually kind of inadvertent, and you didn't mean to destroy the environment, and you're actually not so bad after all. And maybe we can give you a second chance, whatever. But and they're like, okay, well, maybe we will do that, but like from now on. You like will be watching, and you have to take better care and not do fracking because fracking destroys our underground laboratories that we put here a long time ago.
Anything else is fine, but no more fracking.
No more fracking. And furthermore, it was a pleasure to meet you,
Trevin.
And then they think like, okay, well, at least we've saved our lives, and maybe there's someone still left on the surface. And they go up there, and actually like the radio blackout was just because like huge sheets of boulders fell down the shaft, and actually the city's perfectly fine, and it wasn't so bad after all. And the aliens are like all kind of like moving away out of orbit, and they've like kind of talked them out of it because of Toby. Little Toby was able to like negotiate it. And our rockstar geologist is like, wow, I feel like so much more empathy for the human race. And I've come from a really mercenary, self-serving place, but now I really feel like I'm kind of like, mother of us all. And really turned a corner. Like I've really grown as a person and come a long way. And the human kind of legacy will be, my son has saved us all. What a nice thought. The end.
Well, that happened. So, I'm real mad about him being Toby Jr.
I loved it.
I don't know why this is a sticking point for me, but I cannot stand it.
Oh.
We
could just call him Nexus. If you want it to be really on the nose.
I'm going to pick a third option and just not call him either of those.
And then Toby turns his teal eyes up to the stars, and like David Bowie Starman starts playing.
And there's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to Toby, but
Roll,
to Toby.
Roll credits. What? Yeah. What? Okay, instead of just criticizing mine, that's fine. You know what? Okay, let's take a moment to criticize mine, and then let's all talk about how we feel collectively about our effort to create a trilogy franchise.
Okay, let me run it down this way, Alex. I appreciate where you ended up with the vaccines thing. That was a real, 1-2. But I feel like you kind of like gave up on these sinkholes were opening up and the patterns and stuff.
Well, you said they were like closing. They were fixing that, and that was in the action bit.
Well, they were trying to. Or...
Oh no, I thought you had.
Okay. Damien, I liked where you were sort of. I like the idea you two sort of walked backwards into of them being sort of like electric computer rocks that are also poisonous.
Yep.
But as soon as you said when old mate first Toby Vasquez touched the rocks and he imprinted himself on it, I'm like, nah.
Yeah, maybe we could cut that.
Thank God.
I was actually going to like use more of that,
really
and
needed,
then I was like, no, actually the kid's going to do it all for me.
Yeah, because the idea that this civilization of aliens is sort of based around these rocks is a good one, because like maybe these rocks aren't poisonous to them and have figured out how to manipulate them. Because we already have crystal structures in our worlds that when you apply pressure to them generate an electric current. They're piezoelectrics. So it's not an impossible idea, especially if you move towards more of a hard rock-like substance. And then with a little bit of manipulation, you can start to build logic gates and computers and technology out of that. So I think that tracks quite lovely. But also it gives you space, cancer, radiation.
I kind of liked that all of them it was the same general story, but they're all different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like each one is like your first one, no one knows what's going on, so it all just looks kind of like natural disastery and bad. And then in your one, it's like it's alien and it's also just like purely negative. But then they figure out it's like maybe they've brought it on themselves a bit more.
And you went, full hard aliens. I was thinking if your one...
And then the 6-year-old just talked them down and they just left.
Yeah, because he's an innocent soul.
Yeah, I mean, the trope of a child being the innocent savior of humanity, it's a trope because it's been done before.
You're not a fan of my
6-year-old?
My teeny messiah?
I mean, it's fine.
Oh. Should I have killed him as well?
Yes.
End the Toby line.
Oh, it's alright.
Nah, Toby falls down a mine shaft because an alien ship bumped him, and Ruby's like, nah, I ain't gonna go down like this. She commandeers the fighter and destroys the fleet single-handedly.
So aggressive, though.
Yeah.
Alright, well, we'll meet halfway.
You know what alien invasion film I really liked? It kind of like has I was trying to steal a little bit of the tone of. Have you guys read or seen the movie Ender's Game?
Nope. Mm-mm. I just know it's a thing. I've not read it.
So Ender's Game is a really interesting book/film because at the start you're living in a world in which 20 years ago aliens invaded and nearly wiped out humans, and then we kind of got lucky and fended them off. So humans are just like super paranoid about them coming back. So they're building like big space armadas and they're training young people to be like really good tactically, and they're just in a state of total war because they don't know when these aliens are going to come back. Yeah. Right? And then they send this big ass fleet to where the aliens came from, and they're like, man, if we can strike first and knock them out, then we'll be saved. So they send this fleet to go and like kill the aliens, and they're like prosecuting their worlds and whatever, and they think they've found the home world. Eventually they kind of like break through the defenses and like start bombing it, and they're like, haha, take that, aliens, you dickheads, now we're bombing your home planet. And the aliens are like not fighting back, they're just kind of like they're being defensive, and then eventually they just kind of give up, and you find out that the aliens were just like off harvesting resources, but they're so different from us and they're so insect-like that they didn't recognize humans as a conscious entity first. And once they realized that humans were conscious, that's why they withdrew. It wasn't like a military victory at all. It was like, holy shit, these like, oh my god, what a terrible mistake. So they just pulled back, and like the whole story from their point of view was like, the humans haven't forgiven us, oh god, they're coming to kill us, we're like, how do we apologize, they're so different, we don't know how to make them understand. So humans just like wipe them out.
Oh shit.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like, turns out we're the dickheads. So it's like,
and all they had to do was ring and say, how you doing?
Yeah, so it's super like gung-ho, kill the aliens until the end, and you're like, oh, ooh.
How do they find out that that's what happened?
The main character, Ender, is like, ends up being in command, and he goes down there and he like, there's like a kind of like backup of their like leader's mind
Yeah.
that's left there for them to like communicate with, and it like lays out their history.
Okay.
So he kind of figures it out.
Here's some exposition that changes the entire context of the narrative.
Yeah.
Lol.
Nice idea. Bit lazy on execution, maybe.
Well, I mean, I'm not doing it justice. It actually is like nicer put together than that.
Yeah. I really like the idea of them having to go back into the labs to sort of sort it out.
Mm-hmm.
That part's really good, especially because it's like you naturally might want to sort of stay on the surface where all the ships are and the dogfighting would be, but sort of pulling us away from that is a really strong narrative choice. And we'll talk about the 6-year-old saving the world stuff. We can do that another time. There's plenty of time for rewrites. But yeah, that was a strong narrative choice.
Should I have made him older? Is the age the problem?
No, I'm not sure how I feel about the.
Should I wait until he's John Connor?
It was just a bit anticlimactic, I think, maybe. I don't know. I still liked it. I feel like it's just like the execution. Like if you had made it like heartstring pulling, like we have emotions, we care, like, and they're like, oh shit, like they aren't just parasites. Like this is love and that sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe something like that.
Maybe you should have just had Ruby frack the aliens. Maybe that would have done it.
And then she has a little
Frack
alien baby.
Like, oh, you don't like fracking? I'll frack you until it hurts.
It's a very American solution to the problems, isn't it?
Yeah. Frack, baby, frack.
Yeah, the time jump sort of made me take a step back there because it was really challenging to me because do I not like the time jump because you're sort of changing what I set up, or is it a good narrative choice because it's challenging the previous entry into the series? So I was sort of really surprised, I guess, when the time jump was made known to me. Because it felt like to me it was going to be like a very, basically this crazy month that happened, like a very short window for the whole thing.
There doesn't seem to be any rules on sequels like that. Like sometimes sequels, like John Wick, right, are like mere hours between each film, right? Like, no one has slept in the time between the two films. But then
The Dark Knight, where The Dark Knight Rises, which is 8 years after The Dark Knight, I think.
Yeah, some are like really long time intervals, and you can kind of like advance things and be like, cool, this person's older now, and like all the dust has settled, and we're ready for them to move on, kind of thing. Like even Independence Day, it was like how long was that meant to be? Like 20 years or something after the original.
Oh, the sequel.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
No, nor have I. But it's like I'm pretty sure it's set in the future.
Yeah, time jumps are really interesting. The Americans, which is one of the best American dramas ever made, had a couple time jumps, but like during not at the end of seasons or anything, just like between some key episodes, sort of like an event would happen that would sort of change things for characters, and then you jump forward a little while to see where the new status quo sort of ended up.
You know what I love when they're doing time jumps? Because I'm a dum-dum and I don't pick up on them very easily. I like the time jump where the camera just moves near a calendar and then the page kind of falls off and then the next one falls off and the next one falls off. And then when it goes to December, everything's kind of Christmassy around it, and then that page falls off and the calendar, and then it just kind of stops and then zooms back out again. I just like to be spoon-fed my time jumps.
Yeah, time jumps are a very visual challenge, aren't they? Because film is inherently capturing the process of change because it's pictures over time. But yeah, how do you convey a lot of time in few pictures? And that's one way to do it. Mm-hmm. The lazy way to do it.
Just type it down the bottom, which is bad for me because I'm I don't remember what. I'm did we just move past 10 years? Was it a year? I don't remember when this was set.
So you prefer 2 years later rather than
Yeah. Oh, if it was 1987 this date and then later it's 1999 this date, I'm fuck, when was the first one?
Yeah, right.
I don't remember how long it's been. Yeah, just give me 10 days later or something.
Do you want big white text on black screen? 10 days later.
Yeah, or the calendar thing. I just don't like when they just give you a new date because I'm I don't remember.
You can do an interesting set of montages for your one because they're working, you do the montage of them trying to figure out what the rock is, and she's slowly getting pregnant, and then we, the audience, might notice slightly before she does. because to her it's a day-by-day incremental change, but for us it's a sped-up montage.
Yeah.
A baby bump is actually probably a really good way to do that. If you were doing like a work montage and you're seeing a baby bump grow,
Yeah.
and then like maybe a congratulations on your last day
But
at Rockstar Mercenary Geologist.
it's also going to be
lab.
slightly dark because of what I'm about to talk about. But the other reason she isn't really noticing is because during that montage is when Toby Senior is getting sicker and sicker. So there's sort of those two changes.
Yeah, juxtaposes.
Growth and death.
Mm-hmm.
Baby und death.
And then if you want to get super literal, like if Michael Bay was directing this, you can have the grave right next to the cradle just to really hammer it home.
What, like in the house?
Or wherever, or like visually juxtapose them on screen.
Okay.
Because from the cradle to a grave is an expression, or an idea at least.
Mm-hmm.
If that's where the visual storytelling is going during that piece.
To the cradle and the silver moon.
Spoon.
Silver Wound for werewolves.
The Werewolf trilogy coming soon. Damien, where was your Jägermeister brand integration?
Oh, sorry guys.
Because when this episode comes out, I'm going to @ Jägermeister. Be like, hey guys, you like marketing, right? Pay us, we'll make these movies for real. So where's your brand integration, Damien? We got to get paid.
She'll be sipping it at the end, I guess.
Job well done.
Yeah, she's sitting out on the deck of her like mercenary geologist lab / condo with the young Toby, like watching the alien ships like slowly retreat into the distance. Sniffing a brandy balloon of Jägermeister.
I think that's a very fine note to end it on. What is the trilogy called? What is our 3 flavors Cornetto trilogy? What is our
Poisonous Rock Invasion?
Yeah.
God, could you try at least a little bit, please?
Okay.
I like it.
You're wrong.
You can't be... It's my opinion.
You could just call it Deep Tomb or like the strangers beneath us.
Yeah. Underground something.
Underground rocks.
The Underground Railroad. Nothing to do with anything.
The skies beneath us.
Fell Caverns.
Sounds like the lamest D&D adventure.
Fell Caverns.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cool adventure.
Sounds like a level 1,
This episode has gone for 2 hours, I swear to God.
Oh, jeez.
We're not leaving until we think of a goddamn name for this trilogy.
You said Nexus. I was with that.
Yeah, we just call it Nexus.
Done.
The first one was called Nexus.
Yeah, but then with Nexus Part 2, Nexus Part 3.
Nexus.
Mine can be called Nexus Ultra. It's classy. It drinks mother.
Mine's called Nexus Jägermeister because we got a lot of money on that one.
Nexus Meister.
I mean...
Jägermeister.
You love it.
Baron
Okay.
Jaeger and the third one.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap on this episode and on Alex.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Chrissy, for that amazing little song to send me off. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Goodbye. Good luck listening to these two dimple dumples trying to do it without me.
Oh.
Damien and I may or may not take a brief hiatus to sort out our lives and or the show in Alex's absence.
To search for a new Alex.
Coming soon, Australia's Next Top Alex, where we take auditions from Alex's to be on the show. Case Notes is a thing where Human is airing on the Case Notes feed. You can go and check that out, which Chrissy is in. Twitter. What's the Twitter handle?
That's Surprise Synopses.
What's the newest fresh tweet on there, Dave?
Oh, it's they come and thick and fast. It's hard to remember.
It's a poem about me and how much he's going to miss me.
By this episode coming out, you have to have put up a poem about Alex.
Okay, it'll be a haiku.
Sure. As long as it's up by this episode.
All right. Play us out, Maestro.
Surprise Synopses?
Surprise Synopses.
Hello, everyone. It is, in fact, Alex's last episode. It's a shame. She's moving away. We're going to miss her, and the show is never going to be the same again. The two things that I wanted to touch on here, aside from that, were the lightning tree sort of thing that I was talking about earlier. Is called the Lichtenberg figure. It's an example of natural phenomena which exhibit fractal properties. And the second thing is Skater Boy. So let's get into it real quick right now. So, in verse 1, she's saying he was a boy, she was a girl, da-da-da-da. You know, very, it's happening right now. The second verse starts, 5 years from now, she sits at home. So she says 5 years from now. That future hasn't happened. It's what Avril's imagining will happen to that character. And then in the bridge, she sings, sorry girl, but you missed out, blah, blah, blah. So that's happening back in real time. So the actual chronology of the song is he likes her, but all of her friends were like, hell nah, so she didn't go for it. And then Avril gets with the guy, the skater boy. And then, so verse 2 is really anachronistic here. So, it's weird like that. I think she's just imagining sort of the future. She really wants this relationship to work out. So, she's imagining the best case scenario for him. You know, he's playing guitar on MTV when that was actually a marker of success. You know, 17 years ago when the song came out. But it also, you know, talks about this other woman. I guess that's just the narrative contextualization from how verse 1 is structured. But, you know, Avril was like 18 when she wrote this song. So it's still really good. And it was, you know, super popular song. So this is just an interesting, you know, tidbit from the way it's structured. So